Hey paper crafters, thank you so much for joining me today. I love that you took the time to pop by my channel, check out the video that I've got going, and hopefully stay and poke around a little bit. I'm really excited to be able to offer some videos now and then and share my love of paper crafting. So I hope you find something that you enjoy and come back to see me another time. Bye-bye. Hey paper crafting friends, thanks for joining me today. I am going to be featuring a layout today using another set of papers from this Bloom de Fleur paper stack from Parklane. A while back I split this paper stack up into some project sets. I've already done a couple of videos featuring those sets, but I realized I still had some collections that I hadn't worked with yet. So this is one of the sets that I had put together. It's got this really cool overlay, okay, like an acetate overlay. There's a half sheet of this craft paper with florals, really pretty metallic accent paper, then just a solid green that I probably will use for some photo mats. This gorgeous floral, kind of a magenta tone. And then I'm pulling in a cardstock. This is actually an American Crafts cardstock. The color is Oatmeal, and I got this from the 12 by 12 cardstock shop. I really like their selection, and if you can get it to where you're getting free shipping, it's kind of nice. You can order by the sheet or in bulk. So that works out really well for me with classes. As far as some of the embellishment cards, these were the ones that I had set aside to use with this section of paper, at least theoretically, so we'll see. I did notice that a couple of them have a really fun floral print on the back, so I may be using those another way. We'll see. But I am going to go ahead and get a layout started, and that way we can start making some paper choices and get busy creating. Thank you so much for joining me today. All right, here's our basic layout to get rolling today. And I know this looks really simple. Don't worry, we are going to dress it up, and I'm going to share a couple of techniques with you guys as we go that I'm hoping will give you some ideas about how to use this Cedar Trails border. So what I've got here is Cedar Trails 2A and 2B. I'm not sure what I'm going to pull in for other decorative templates yet. I feel like there's a lot of personality in the paper that I'm going to use today, and I want to focus on my basic layout first, so I can't really see that until I get more of it put together. I chose a 5x7 for here, not because I necessarily want to do a 5x7. Often I don't even have 5x7s that I'm working with, but this acetate overlay is absolutely gorgeous. So what I'm thinking is I will trim it to a 5x7. We'll use a photo mat here. But then I'm going to have this overlay in my plan. So I've also pulled in this little corner from Tiny Highlights so that I'll be able to anchor that acetate down when it's time. It's hard to secure the acetate if you don't have kind of a plan ahead of time. So I will make some little coordinating photo corners so that there is a place to glue that acetate safely down once there's a photo underneath it. And that way you'll be able to hide the glue by then adhering the little corner on top of it. So that is my plan with that. These are both 4x5s. I just thought that size worked well. These are 4x6s on this side. So all three of them are 4x6. Depending on the color choices that I end up making, I may end up using these guys for photo mats, kind of the back side of those embellishment cards. But again, I want to see how all the paper comes together. So my next step is going to be to pick the paper that I want to use for this border here. And I'm going to show you guys a little trick for using the leftovers from this in a fun way on the same layout. So Give me a minute to get that set up, and I'll show you exactly what you can do with these to help your paper stretch and to just enhance your layout a little bit more. All right, this really beautiful floral magenta is what I'm going to use for the Cedar Trails border going across the top of the layout. You'll notice that I've got that border positioned up about 1/2 inch from the bottom of my paper, and that's because I want to use this piece, okay? So obviously I want to use the piece I'm tracing also, but I want my scrap to be usable. So let me go ahead and get this one traced. And then when you set the other cedar trails, see, that's going to nest really nicely right on top of that, which is wonderful. And then they line up really nicely end to end as well. So when you go to use them on your layout, they create one continuous line, which is beautiful. And then when I go to do my next cut, I'm going to want to do that on a straight trimmer right across here. That way I'll have a piece left here and a piece left here, and I'm going to use those on the lower part of my layout. Now I'm just kind of guesstimating where I'm going to want that to be. I'm going to go ahead and get these cut, and then I'll show you how those look on that layout so you can see what I was talking about. So this is what I had in mind with the way that I was cutting that Cascade Trails border, was the ability to use that extra piece down here at the bottom. So I do really like that, but there's something that I like to do when I use this particular border. And often I will either put like a button or some kind of an embellishment along this border in those thin spots. So I was looking at this paper, and I think that these designs are going to fussy cut out really well to go in those spots. So I'm going to try it out. I'm not sure if they might be a tiny bit too big, but I'm going to try a couple and I'll see how that looks. And then to carry this same paper across, I think what I'll end up doing is scooting this border up just maybe 1/2 inch or so, and just doing a straight strip of this right underneath it. That way that metallic is carried through and it's not just a random embellishment on the page. So that's going to be my next step. I do know that I'm going to go ahead and cut the photo mats out of that really deep green paper. It's kind of an evergreen, and I will come back on and show you how all of those pieces come together. I know that there are those of you out there that absolutely hate fussy cutting, so I just wanted to show you a quick tip. I just kind of rough cut these out of that paper. And when I am fussy cutting something like this, I am holding with my left hand, my scissors are in my right, and all of my movement comes from my left hand. My left hand is really guiding the paper. My right hand is really just opening and closing on these scissors a little bit and keeping those scissors coming down. But all of the movement is coming from that other hand, really rotating that paper. So I'm hoping you can kind of see that. The other thing is, I think that as people who cut, we sometimes think that everything has to be perfect. And I will tell you, there is nobody looking that closely at your work. You are, of course, and you want it to be nice and you want to be proud of it. And I absolutely understand that. But it never fails that when I show my albums to people, they want to talk to me about my pictures. They don't want to talk to me about my other stuff. So just give yourself a little bit of a break when you are doing something like this, and don't feel like it's not good enough or it's not perfect or I didn't stay on every line. I can even see just from my rough cuts when I was cutting these out that some of them are not going to have a perfect edge no matter what I do, and that's okay. That's not going to be what really shines. What shines is that fun little burst of metallic, and then people's eyes are going to move on to the next detail on your layout. So, namely your pictures. So I just want you to remember that when you're working, and don't be too hard on yourself. We're supposed to enjoy this process, right? So I will be back in just a minute and show you how this is coming together so far. For the sake of showing you how this all layered in, I went ahead and took it all the way back to the beginning so we can just kind of walk through the process of it. So I went ahead and cut the photo mats out of this evergreen paper, okay? So that means that this is going to look like that with that overlay on it. It really shows up nicely. I know you probably can't see it super well on the video, and that's unfortunate, but that overlay adds a really nice shine. You've got the detail of the flowers. It's going to show over whatever photo you decide to put in there. So we've got that. I have not made a choice yet about what I want these photo corners to be, but we may figure that out here in just a second. The other photo mats are here. So remember, there was a 4x5 and a 4x5, then the 4x6 and the 4x6. And I was debating on using these ones for a photo mat, but I really think it's a little bit too much. There was also this accent card that would be a really nice tie-in with the flowers and the greenery. So I may just use this one, and this would be a really nice opportunity to do a little bit of journaling on the page, or maybe name each photo. It's got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you could even, put a little die cut or sticker number in the corner to tie it over, something like that. I showed you how to cut this Cedar Trails up here at the top. Remember, that was Cedar Trails 2A and 2B. And to use your scraps to create some interest down here at the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and set that up just a bit, because I also cut 2 1/2-inch strips out of that really beautiful paper with the metallic accents. Okay. And I did cut 7 of these circles. So let's kind of see how these come on. I think the sizing ended up nicely. I will probably pop those up on just a little bit of foam tape. Okay. You had an opportunity to watch me fussy cut those. It really didn't take long, and it adds a lot of just kind of elegance and interest to the page. I really love that. So then we're at a point of, what else do we want to do to this? Is there another thing to bring in? So I definitely have some choices. These little photo corners, if I'm going to use this, I feel like they need to somehow tie in and echo this. So I do have the back side of this paper, which is this pink, and it's got a little bit of a metallic line on it. So that would bring the pink across the layout and make this card make even more sense. So that's a possibility, just to do a couple of little corners out of that pink. I could also use some more of this metallic if I wanted to do that, but I do think that bringing this pink across, if I'm going to use this card, would be important. Okay. The other thing that I could do if I wanted is bring in a little bit more of the metallic somewhere. So some of the scraps are just half circles that could be put in, around photos, something like that. So that's always a possibility. There's also, remember, this paper that I had allocated for this layout and I haven't used yet. Once I looked at it with the rest of this put together, it felt, I don't know, maybe a little bit casual with this craft paper. So I'm not sure that I'm going to pull anything off of this. I will probably hold on to this and do something else with it, but I don't feel like it ended up fitting with this layout the way it came together. So I am going to make the rest of my decisions off camera. All right, so I took quite a while actually trying several different things to figure out how to balance this. What I ended up deciding to do was carry this pink across, and I knew I wanted to do something. I tried several things with leaving this on a dark green background, a dark green photo mat, and it just was not coming out how I wanted. So I ended up pulling in a solid pink for the photo mat, and that just really makes the floral design pop. So I love that. And it brings the pink across. I've tried several different types of photo corners, and I ended up deciding to go ahead and go with just the deep green. So I had plenty to do that. I was able to back this also kind of with a photo mat sized paper and carry that really beautiful deep green all the way across. And then I took some of the medallion pieces from this metallic piece, and I just did little half circles of them along the edges of the photos. So I am now really happy with how this turned out. But if you could see my little scrap pile, you would crack up. So I always have people say, I don't know how you figure it out so easy. Not always. And today was not easy. So we all get stuck now and then, and we need a little time to play and figure out our balance. So again, thanks for joining me today. I hope you're happy with how this turned out, and that it gives you some ideas moving forward. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.